Welcome back to the FF Face Off. I'm your host, Anthony Cervino. Follow me on Twitter at The Real NFL Guru. Follow the show at the FF Face Off and at fffaceoff.com. We can be found at all the top social media and podcast platforms. Today, we're going to take a look at my top rookie wide receivers you should be stashing in your dynasty leagues. These aren't your first or second round picks. These are third, late third, fourth round picks. Hell, guys that may even go undrafted depending on your league mates. But I can make a case that you should hold on to him on your taxi squad or on the back end of a deep roster just in case they get a little bit of opportunity going their way. Let's start with my first guy. That's Tyler Scott, wide receiver for the Chicago Bears. Tyler Scott is a fourth-round pick by Ryan Poles. And Ryan Poles is looking towards the future. If you look in the current year, they have DJ Moore, Chase Claypool, and Darnell Mooney. But if we look ahead to 2024, both Darnell Mooney and Chase Claypool are unrestricted free agents, which means there's going to be a starting spot or two opened up. Now, I get it. The only path for Tyler Scott to see the immediate playing field, probably injuries. But that doesn't mean that's going to be the case moving forward. Again, with your 2 out of your 3 starting wide receivers are unrestricted free agents, Tyler Scott would then be entering year 2 in the NFL. He could be a starter in 2 or 3 wide sets for Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears in 2024. If we go back to how he played according to Player Profiler, he had an 85 percentile college dominator rating, 73rd percentile collegiate target share, and a 39th percentile collegiate breakout age, again, over at my friends at playerprofiler.com. I think Tyler Scott's going to be a pretty damn good wide receiver in the NFL. I don't think he's going to be great, but can he be a solid contributor as a bye-week replacement on your fantasy team when he gets a chance to shine, which could be as soon as 2024? Absolutely. He should be taken somewhere in the 3rd round of your fantasy football drafts. And if he falls to the 4th round, you better jump on him because that would be a big-time value for Mr. Tyler Scott. Let's go to my next stash wide receiver, and we're going to talk about Puka Nacua. And Puka Nacua with an ADP at fffaceoff.com of 40. He's currently slated as the wide receiver 6 on the Los Angeles Rams depth chart. And this is a team that, let's face it, they are rebuilding. Last year wasn't great for the Los Angeles Rams. They were one and done on Allen Robinson. They ate a lot of his contract just to get rid of him. Running back-wise, it's going to be Cam Akers. They also drafted a rookie. Look at the wide receiver. It's going to be Cooper Kupp, Van Jefferson, and those other spots are pretty wide open. And I'm not saying that Puka Nacua is going to all of a sudden emerge as the wide receiver 3 in this offense. They like Ben Skoranek a lot. But are you telling me that Puka Nacua can't beat out a guy like Lance McCutcheon or Tutu Atwell? That's absolutely positively within the range of outcomes. And I believe Puka Nacua could open the year as the wide receiver 4, which means if there is an injury to Skoranek, Van Jefferson, or Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, as long as he doesn't faceplant, is going to see the football field. He can do a little bit of everything. Yeah, I get it, he's a wide receiver, but he also has 357 yards rushing on 39 carries, along with 5 rushing touchdowns and a 9.2 yard per carry average on his collegiate resume. He's a good all-around wide receiver. He has really strong hands. He was used on jet sweeps as a runner last season and was even the 5th leading rusher on his own team. Nacua can do it all. He's even being player comped at some websites to a guy like Deebo Samuel. I don't think he's talented as Deebo Samuel, but I think that's how the Rams may try to use him. He's like a poor man's Deebo with his skill set. And I love the fact that he's on a Sean McVay offense because Sean McVay is pretty damn creative. And if Puka Nacua is the real deal, Sean McVay is going to scheme the ball into Puka Nacua's hands. I absolutely love what the Rams did with limited draft capital. When I say limited, they didn't have a lot of top-end draft capital. They had a lot of, day 3 picks, and they made the best out of them. And Puka Nacua could emerge as the best from that group. He's a 4th-round pick. He's on an offense led by McVay. They have Matthew Stafford. They have guys like Cooper Kupp. They have bodies. It's not like he's going to the Texans. I would take a shot in the 4th round, absolutely positively, on Puka Nacua. And there's a chance, slim chance, he gives you a little bit of something this year. But if this offense doesn't begin to click, by 2024, who's to say Nacua's not starting in 3 wide sets? Because let's face it, Ben Skoranek. Let's face it, Van Jefferson. The only legit guy we know in this wide receiver room right now is Cooper Kupp. Let's go to my 3rd wide receiver we should be stashing. This is an unsexy one. It's Parker Washington from the Jacksonville Jaguars. And the landing spot's terrible, right? Let's call it what it is. He's on a Jacksonville offense that is loaded with guys like, Calvin Ridley, with guys like Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, Travis Etienne. They're all pretty good at catching the football and making plays. Now, where is there a fit here for Parker Washington? And the fit may be, he's a talented big play weapon. And we know that Trevor Lawrence wants to throw the ball downfield. Who's not going to be on this roster possibly next year? Well, looking at their depth chart, it's a guy like Zay Jones. Zay Jones doesn't have a lot left on his contract. He's a big play guy. They have guys like Jamal Agnew, another big play, do-it-all weapon. And Parker Washington slated as the number 6 on the depth chart right now. Yes, there's a chance he may not make this roster, but he could also make the roster as the wide receiver 5. You have Ridley, you have Zay, you have Christian Kirk in 3 wide sets, and then you have Agnew, and then you have Parker Washington. Forget about guys like Kevin Austin and Tim Jones. Parker Washington, all he has to do is make the football team, showcase what he can do, and he's going to carve himself out a role. What if Calvin Ridley, who hasn't played football in a long time, and granted, I'm really high on him, but what if he gets off to a slow start? What if he gets banged up because he hasn't been on the field? What if one of these guys get injured and all of a sudden, we know Agnew has a little bit of an injury history. All of a sudden, we have Parker Washington getting into the mix a little bit. He gets hot with a quarterback like Trevor Lawrence, and the rest is history. Listen, he's a long shot. Of all the guys I'm going to talk about today, Parker Washington is the biggest long shot. But again, possession receiver, can make big plays. He's physical. He'll make the tougher receptions in traffic. He averaged 13.2 yards per reception at Penn State with 12 career touchdown receptions in 32 games. That's not a bad resume. I'm taking a shot on him, probably as a Mr. Irrelevant, but there could be some juice there. Listen, if I'm taking darts on guys like this, I want them to have a quarterback like Trevor Lawrence or Patrick Mahomes. I don't want to take a shot on like the fringe roster guy on the Texans. I don't want to take a shot at a fringe roster guy on the Panthers. Give me a shot at the fringe roster guy attached to a really, really good quarterback or who has a path to playing time. And Parker Washington is the one that has not a great path to playing time, but he's attached to an excellent quarterback, and he could be an injury or two away from seeing the football field. Let's go to my number 4 out of 5 wide receiver stashes. This guy is Tre Tucker from the Las Vegas Raiders. And Tre Tucker, very solid receiver, really solid slot receiver. What do we know? Who plays in the slot for the Raiders? Well, you can probably put Jacoby Myers in there. We know Hunter Renfrow is going to be in there. Pump the brakes. There's been a lot of rumors that Hunter Renfrow could be traded. And when you draft a guy like Tre Tucker, who lined up 91.4% in the slot at Cincinnati, we could see something lining up. Like if this kid pops in rookie minicamp and he looks okay, they might just decide to trade Hunter Renfrow, which means Tre Tucker could see the football field. Now, he has a lot of work. He's going to be a depth guy in the NFL. Like, I think he's good enough to make the NFL roster. I think he's going to contribute on special teams, especially with kickoff returns, which means he's going to be active on game day. But again, he's a pretty damn good slot receiver. He can make his way open in zone coverage. He's going to move the chain. Listen, he's essentially Hunter Renfrow. And why pay Hunter Renfrow when you may have another one that you can pay relatively nothing? Now, not really a special guy, but neither was a guy like Hunter Renfrow. I believe Tre Tucker is the type of guy that Josh McDaniels drafted because they drafted a lot of these prototypes with the New England Patriots. A guy who's tough, he's gritty, he's going to work his ass off every time he's on the football field. And let me tell you something. I'm very much intrigued by the landing spot in Vegas. Look what they have to work with at wide receiver. You have Devontae, you have Jacoby Myers, you have Renfrow. They're your starting 3. They signed DeAndre Carter. He's a veteran. He'll play a little bit in the slot. You have Philip Dorsett. Who cares? Keelan Cole. He had a nice year a long time ago. Cam Sims, Chris Lee. Like a lot of guys. All Trey Turner has to do, and he's a 3rd-round pick, folks. He has 3rd-round draft capital. It's not like he's a 6th-round pick. He's a 3rd-round pick. They invested in him. They like him. And what lines up? The thing that lines up is the possibility of moving Hunter Renfrow, and you draft a slot receiver in the 3rd round. Connect the dots here. Tre Tucker is an absolute smash of a stash. It's going to cost you nothing. 47 ADP at FF Faceoff. You throw him on your taxi squad, and boom. If he hits, you got yourself a pretty good player possibly on your hands. And he's, again, attached to a good offense. The Raiders are going to be a good offense. They were last year with Carr. I don't expect them taking any type of a step back with Jimmy Garoppolo. Let's move on to Xavier Hutchinson, my final stash. And this is, and I know I said it earlier, I don't like stashing guys on teams like the Texans who are a hot mess, but there's a but here. Xavier Hutchinson, if you look at the Houston Texans depth chart, it's terrible. Nico Collins, John Mechie, who said he's okay, and I like Mechie, but we don't know. Nico Collins, what is he really? Kind of just a guy. Robert Woods, veteran addition, kind of just a guy at this point in his career. Noah Brown from my Cowboys. I drafted Tank Dell in the 3rd and Xavier Hutchinson in the 6th. They brought in Amari Rodgers. Who cares? Steven Sims. Who cares? A lot of who cares on this wide receiver depth chart. And could Xavier Hutchinson carve himself out a role? Now, lasted until the 6th round. In my opinion, they probably A team should have drafted him earlier, but the Texans, they took the value. Could Xavier Hutchinson, with a strong camp and a guy like Noah Brown or Tank Dell, one of those guys would have to faceplant maybe both for Hutchinson to earn a number 3 receiving job on his team, but it's not like it's impossible. Everything's wide open here with the Houston Texans, and he's going to be attached to C.J. Stroud, so we don't know how that's going to work out, even though I think he's a high-floor quarterback with a limited ceiling. It's not like he's attached to like a really bad situation. He's attached to a situation with some upside. There's a slight path to immediate playing time. Who knows how this wide receiver room shakes out in the future? Like what Robert Woods, they signed him to, I believe, a 2-year deal, but is he really going to make 2 years? You're in need of a dart throw guy to throw on your taxi squad. And all of the other guys in this video are taken. Hell, I would certainly take Xavier Hutchinson over Parker Washington 100% of the time. Washington should probably be the last dart throw. Then Xavier Hutchinson could work for you. 69th percentile college dominator rating, 97th percentile collegiate target share. So when he's featured, we know he's going to deliver. He's outstanding with the football in his hands after catch. He's versatile. He can play in the slot as well as on the perimeter, can run a solid route tree as well. And he's fairly patient on screens and working open in the open field. I like Xavier Hutchinson. The landing spot isn't great, but it's at least solid, and there's a little bit of a path to immediate playing time. You're drafting and you're stashing Xavier Hutchinson. All right, guys, that's going to do it for today. Remember, if you liked anything in this video, tap the like button, hit the subscribe button, the alert icon, so you can be notified anytime I am live doing news reaction shows and answering your questions or dropping content just like this. Remember, ask questions. I will answer them. Interacting with all of you is my favorite part of this job. Until next time, I'm Anthony Cervino. We'll see you later.